What's going on, guys? Ryan from Do It For Fun Outdoors here. Just in the backyard doing some shooting today, practicing with the old black hunter. Trying to get some reps in. It's been a little bit since I've shot, so I figured that I would come out here and do a little bit of shooting. And while I was doing so, I kind of thought, maybe I could go over a few things for you guys that are just getting into traditional archery. I myself, by no means am a professional, but I did just start my traditional archery journey a couple years ago. I've had a recurve since I was a little kid, but I didn't do a ton of shooting with it, and I never really had anybody to teach me. It's just a bow that one of our uncles gave us when we were kids, and we'd run around shooting flu arrows. We had no idea what we were doing really, just more or less having fun, but we didn't have anybody to really teach us. But I grew up a compound bow hunter with pretty limited knowledge on anything to do with traditional archery until a couple years ago when I bought my first recurve. But the goal this year is to take either this bow or one of my other recurves out and harvest a deer with it. So I try to get out here as much as I can and do some shooting and get proficient with it. But I figured I'd share with you guys some tips and information that I have learned and found out for myself over the last couple years that maybe will help you guys out that are just starting to get into it. And with that being said, the first thing that I'm going to tell you guys right now, when you buy your recurve bow, you're going to want to set your brace height. The brace height's from your string. Usually people measure it, the deepest part of the riser, which for me would go from the string to here. When you buy your bow, usually on the recommendations for your bow setup and stuff, they'll tell you like a recommended brace height. And what you're going to do is you're going to string your bow and you're going to measure where they recommend that you measure from. A lot of times it'll tell you from the string to the inside of the riser or what have you. I think I have this one set at 7 1/4. And honestly, I might tweak it a little bit more. But if your brace height when you string your bow is 5 inches and you want to increase it, what you're going to do is you're going to twist your string to shorten it, and then restring it, measure, and get your brace height set. Just for your general bow setup. And if you have any rest material or anything that they give you, you're going to want to put that on there. There's a lot of videos on YouTube and stuff on how to do that, so I'm not even going to get into it. But it's just basic setup of your bow. And then really once you get into shooting, the biggest thing for anybody to do is come up with your own shot process. You're going to want to figure out what's going to be the best for you. For me, I shoot 3 under, and I like that better for me. And coming from being a compound bow archer, I always naturally want to aim. You have gap shooting, you have instinctive, you have people that do a mix of instinctive and gap shooting. And what gap shooting is taking your bow, let's say making your shot, looking where the tip is, figuring out what you have to do with your bow to get it to hit the target. And then let's say 10 yards, I'm going to spin you guys around and explain it. So with aiming, what I typically do is line everything up and aim the tip of the arrow about right there. That's kind of what my eye is seeing. I know it's a little blurry, but that's usually what I'm seeing right there. The tip of my arrow's about 8 inches under what I want to hit. So that's how I do it. So when I draw back and I come into my anchor point, I try to get about right here. I want that arrow sitting right under my eye. And the closer you can get this nock to your eye, the further or the shorter your gap's going to be. If you come way down here, I guess I'll just shoot and explain it to you. So I'll shoot 3 under, but I'll anchor further down. and explain to you what I see. I'll spin the camera around and then show you exactly where I aimed and where it hit. By the way, I'm not a professional archer, so I mean, if I don't hit exactly where I want on that paper, don't blame me too bad. I'm just trying to show you guys an example. So I'm gonna anchor way down here, and this is where I used to anchor. I used to have the fletching of this cock feather, which is this one. The black feather is always your cock feather. It's the one that's always sticking out from your riser. I used to have that like hit my lip almost. That was kind of my anchor. So I'd be down here. I shot just over the top of the paper, and I'll explain to you where I was aiming. Just got to get the tripod set up here. Okay, so when I was anchoring further down, the tip of my arrow was about right there when I was fully drawn. Well, it was a little bit canted, but that's basically what I was seeing. Was I was probably, I don't know, call it 16 inches under where I wanted to hit. I did hit about right there, if you can see it, just above the paper. So that's how I used to shoot, and I always did that because I always wanted, so when I pull back like that, and that would hook the back of my jaw, and when I got to that anchor point, the fletching almost always was touching my lip. Now, if I was hooked in here and that fletching was hitting my lip, I knew that I was where I should, that's where I was supposed to be. And when you guys are getting into your traditional archery, you want to find something that works for you. The way I do it might not be the way you want to do it, or might not feel right to you. So you're going to want to get your anchor set up, set it up, find out what works for you, and stick with it. Don't change. Don't, you know, I mean, you could play with other anchor points and stuff. But for me, that didn't work. I didn't like that I consistently had to aim. And again, I'm saying aim. I don't shoot instinctively. I like to aim because I feel like I'm more consistent. But what I found out, and through, you know, doing research and finding out myself, was if I have a higher anchor point where I can get the knock of that arrow closer to my eye, that gap changes. So instead of aiming, you know, with the tip of my arrow, it's a 16 inches under where I want to hit, or 14, whatever it is. I can aim almost right underneath the deer's, like the chest plate, right behind the leg, so maybe about 6 inches. And what that does for me is it allows me to pick my spots a little bit easier, if that makes sense to you. So I'm gonna shoot how I shoot normally, and then explain to you and turn the camera around and show you where I was shooting, or where I was aiming, where what the tip of the arrow was on when I took that shot, and I'll explain it to you, and you'll see kind of what I'm talking about. So I hit that piece of paper. I'm just a little bit lower. I'm gonna spin you guys around here again. So let me focus in here. So that first shot that I took at full draw, I was basically aiming at that little black spot, and I hit just above the paper. That could have been a little bit on me. So changing my anchor point to right underneath my eye, I was basically aiming with the arrow, I don't know, call it 5-6 inches underneath that paper. Now for me, that helps out. You know, I feel like it's more of a consistent spot for me. And then the further I go back, you're always going to aim higher, right? Because you're the arc of the arrow. So close at 10 yards, I know aiming about 6 inches under where I want to hit is going to put me in that area. I go out to 20, I aim 2 inches under what I want to hit. I go out to 30, I aim right on it, or I aim just above it. And that's gap shooting, and that's aiming, not instinctive, but it's gap shooting. So what I'm explaining to you guys is how to find your gap. So like I said, I don't shoot instinctive, I aim, and that's how I aim. I used to shoot down here, now I creep my anchor point up higher, and I stay consistent to that. Now, instead of my knuckle hitting the back of my jaw, usually my knuckle is hitting my cheekbone, and then that puts that knock and that arrow right here, so that changes that gap. Now what you want to do is, if you're new, stay close to your target, 5 or 10 yards, and figure that out. Figure out what consistently gets you to hit the spot you want. I like to put a piece of paper on a target. I don't like aiming at dots. I don't know why, but I usually take a piece of paper, I fold it up, stick a nail in it, stick it on my target. So I'm aiming at something that's a different color than the target. I'm aiming at something, I don't even know how to explain it. I just like doing that. I don't like to just have the target sitting there and just aiming for the little heart on the target and stuff. I like having something there. I mean, some people like to use a little spray paint or something or whatever, but I just take a piece of paper and I pin it on there. But yeah, that's my process here. And then the thing is, when you find your anchor point, you need to create a process for yourself. So I do, you know, I usually bring my bow up, get my hand on there, make sure I get my grip on my shooting glove set, you know, where I want it. Usually I like to go in the very, very first crease of the finger there. Bring my bow up, draw down, and make my shot. The one thing that I'll tell you right now, one thing that I still struggle with too, because I'm fairly new, is my release. Sometimes I catch myself not necessarily plucking the string, but trying to relax my fingers through the shot instead of pulling through. So if you guys catch me doing that, call me out in the comments. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully this helps. If you do enjoy this, I can go over some more shooting tips and stuff that I've learned. Yeah, I know. Hopefully it helps you out. I'm gonna keep shooting here. I know the old lady wants to come out with her compound and do some shooting. I have a new arrow saw coming, so I'm gonna have a video on building some hunting arrows. I got some new broadheads that just came. Gonna sharpen them up tonight with the work sharpener, and I'm gonna build me a hunting setup and probably make a video on that. So if you guys see this, see that video, if you guys see this video and are interested in that kind of stuff, hit the subscribe button and you know, wait for more content to come out, because hunting season is just around the corner. I'll be out with this bow, I'll be out with my other recurve, I'll be out with my compound. The old lady is gonna try her hand at hunting out of a saddle, so we're gonna see what we can do for you guys this year. Hopefully get a couple good bucks on the ground, so stay tuned. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully this taught you something.